guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspot, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, bringing you your pre-match build-up as Tottenham are back in Champions League action, and it's time to shrug off the disappointment of the North London derby, move forward, put it behind us tonight as we take on Eintracht Frankfurt away. Now, this is a game of huge importance, especially off the back of the loss against Sport in Lisbon. We need to win. We cannot afford any more slip-ups if we want to keep our qualification hopes alive. It's going to be a hostile atmosphere, and fans want to see a good, confident performance, and the pressure is on. How will Tottenham do? Well, we've got Jack and Marcelo here to help us get through, and maybe, hopefully, Tottenham will do well. Jack, how are you keeping, my man? Eintracht Frankfurt have shown to be a tricky team to come up against in European competitions. Of course, when Europa League last year, like we were saying, like I said, their fan base does not make it an easy atmosphere for the opposition. Spurs seem to struggle away from home in European matches. Is this match day 3 away from home in Frankfurt going to be more difficult than what we think?
It's kind of a difficult one, right? We're coming after a North London derby. I don't know about you guys, but you would love to just see Bournemouth or something, lined up, right after a nice team to, sort of like what Liverpool did when they were playing pretty poor. I think they won 9-0 or something like that. And something that Spurs fans would really like to see is a fixture like that. A European fixture away from home. We're not really, at least recently been too strong in those sort of ties. And then also a team like Frankfurt, who seem to recently at least kind of know their way around these sort of European games, and especially can handle kind of a difficult kind of team and a difficult fixture, as well as at home. They seem to have kind of extra superpowers with that sort of ultra fan base, as we know as well. It's not an easy game, to be honest, to bounce back from with the North London derby, Dave. But the positive I could take from that is there is sort of that thing where Spurs do maybe have to just sort of kind of drag themselves together, pull themselves together, and bounce back in the most convincing manner. Sometimes when you do that against a Bournemouth or something like that, it really is only a team that you could beat on most days. Where, I don't know, a game like this against Frankfurt, I mean, this is a game where Spurs do win. It is a convincing comeback, or a convincing bounce back is probably the right way to put it. And I think that's what is probably the positive about this fixture, is that we're not coming up against just some easy team right after North London derby. We're coming up against another good team, a team that won't be taken lightly. And hopefully if we get a convincing win, then we know that we can absolutely kind of be assured that this team is capable of bouncing back.
No, I think it will. I think we will bounce back tonight. Look, we need a convincing performance. I think the players will be angry. I think they'll be hurt after the North London derby. Look, don't get me wrong. I think there's definitely cause for, cause to be concerned a little bit, because last time there was North London derby under Jose Mourinho, we got smacked up, and then we got smacked up by Zagreb and went out of Europe. I think last year when we got bet by Nuno, I think we had a Europa Conference League game after that. I don't think we fared too well in that either. So I think, we definitely have to put a performance in tonight. It's going to be a hostile atmosphere. And what I will say, I actually think tonight is going to be a real good test and a true test of where this squad is at in terms of ability, in terms of mentality. I think it'll be a very good test. But Marcelo, how are you, my man? How important is it that we restore some confidence back in the team and the fan base and bounce back today and hit back with immediate response after Saturday's disappointing North London derby defeat?
Listen, bro, there's nothing better washing away the scum than a nice Tuesday night. If we go in there and we perform on a nice Tuesday night, we can forget about those Thursday night shadow breathing scumbags that, like to, just no morale with that team. So forget about them, bro. Tonight is Tottenham's night, and we're going to get a victory. It's Eintracht Frank, what, bro? It's Eintracht Frank. Who are these guys, bro? Tottenham is going to go in there, and we're going to smash these men, bro. They may have won the Europa League, but we're going to welcome to the Champions League. We're going to give them a nice little welcome, bro, because this is a whole new level. They ain't ready for this. Tottenham is, Conte is. Saturday was just a blip. It was just a little bump in the road. It's one we're going to forget by the end of the season. There's one we're going to laugh when we finish above Arsenal. We're playing Champions League again, and when we have a nice little cup on our side.
I love that.
I bet Marcel is going to be practicing counting in German, with how many goals we're going to be scoring, Dave.
I can do it. I'm Spy Dry. beer, food, sex. You know, I could do it. I learned German in school, my man. It's all come back to me
There
today.
we go, Dave.
But what I will say is I do think that at times we do overhype the opposition that we play against. Like we are, Sporting went there and smacked them up as well. I get why we do it, because we are capable of a monumental fuck up, but let's not overrate them either. These do ship goals. I think they've shipped 11 goals already in the Bundesliga so far.
They've been crap.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. They do. They haven't been that good either. Like, I know they've picked up form recently, but their defense is suspect, and we can definitely get at them today. And there's goals here today if we want them. And what I would say to everybody is get your hot dog buns under the grill, get the onions chopped, get the ketchup out, because it is waiting to be squirted on some Frankfurters tonight. The result is coming, and I cannot wait. Now, I want to give everybody everything you need to know for tomorrow's game, and we're going to take some comments, welcome people in, and then really crack into this. Now, of course, we are away at the Deutsche Bank Park. Kickoff is at 8 p.m. Referee and VR room. We've actually hired the mafia tonight. We've got Daniela Orsato from Italy, and in the VR room, we've got Massimiliano Irati also from Italy. If you want to watch the game in the UK or Ireland, it is on BT Sports. And if you want to watch the game in the USA, it is on Paramount Plus. And guys, make sure you get back here tonight for the watch along. Kicking off at 7:30, 48 p.m. kickoff. Absolutely buzzing. Let me go into some team news. Ben Davies will return to the bench today. Dejan Kulusevski is still out with his hamstring, out for a couple of weeks, along with Lucas Moura with his Achilles. And then for Frankfurt, Mario Götze is out. He's a doubt. He's a doubt with a sprained ankle. Amane Traoré is out with his hamstring. Aurelio Buta is out with his knee. Jerome Arguena is out with his groin. And Christian Jakic, they're expecting to be out with his hip. So there's Jackets, yeah. They have a jacket today. So there's everything everybody needs to know. But look, let's welcome a few people in, and then let's crack on with it. Georgie Hill says, come on, you Spurs. Good news, Dave. The future missus loves ABBA, and I'm thinking we can convince her to let me have Gimme a Ginger from Sweden as the walk down song. Decky never let us down. Come on, you Spurs. Well, my man, absolutely love it. The fact that you went back and checked, I actually think it's gone past the possibility of pulling out now. I think we actually have to make this official. So what we now need from you, George, is to go back to the missus and get an absolute concrete yes on this, and then we'll get it in the works. Big up, Georgie. Absolutely love that. Vinyl's in the house, says, come on, you Spurs. Good to see you, my man. Dermatron's in the house. Big up, Dermatron. He says it's time to move on from the weekend, because the mighty Tottenham Hotspur are on the march for Euro glory. So let's say with pride, we are Tottenham. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, Spurs.
And that's the thing. I mean, you know, you've got to show even more pride off the back of being humiliated by your rivals. That's where you've got to pick yourself up and be even more defiant, even more arrogant with your support for Tottenham, Dermot. Look, it's not going to be an easy game, but we better get after them today. We're all expecting it for a change in formation as well, Dermot, which we'll be speaking about, my man. But look, I absolutely love that, my man. We are Tottenham. We are back. Big up, my man. We've got Wisdom in the house as well. Big up. We've got Wembley once this afternoon. But we are now experienced the three certainties of life: death, taxes, and Emerson at wing-back. Without any willingness by Conte to be flexible tactically, I fear another defeat tonight. We will be touching on Emerson in a little while, my man. But look, I tried telling people. I tried telling you. No matter what your feelings are, the guy's going to play. He's going to play.
Conte is his biggest fan.
PHSC till I die with the super sticker. I believe it's fireworks again, if I'm correct.
Let me look at it just to confirm, Dave, with you. It's actually, no, Dave, this time it's actually just lifting the trophies. So he was talking about European glory, Dave. We're lifting the trophies here yet again here. No fireworks, no jumping into the space with moon boots before, like last night, Dermot. This time, Dave, he's lifting trophies, looking good with it as well. Big up, my man. Appreciate it.
Love that. Big up, Dermotron. Really appreciate it.
Euro glory, that's what it looks like.
Absolutely love it. Look, I want to be lifting trophies at the end of the season. I just want to see Tottenham win another one before I die, and I'm fear I won't. So hopefully it happens this season. Big up,
It'll come. Give it time. Listen, Saturday. I know everybody is so upset about Saturday, but look, let's be real here. You know, I've been a fan for what, 12 years, and I've seen my team only win there twice, and that you know, crap ground of theirs and that terrible stadium of theirs. I've only, you know, and there's a reason why we don't win there. It's probably such a crap stadium. It's impossible to win there. The turf is so bad. You know what I mean? It probably reeks in the Emirates. So that's probably why we lost. You know what I mean? Harry Kane probably took a sniff and he probably thought, not today. You know what I mean? I don't want to, you know, this is not a place I want to play football in.
Stinks of gooners.
And you know what? You can't blame them. You can't blame them. So this is just a
They
bump
leave
in
a
the
stench.
road, guys. This is just a bump in the road. The Conte train is still full on effect. We're gonna have a great season. We're still gonna have a lot of moments to reflect on. You know, Conte is gonna re-sign that contract after that January juicy window, and you know, it's all gonna be golden. This is gonna be just a blip. I think today the boys are gonna put a real performance and a real message, because this is a team, man, you know, yeah, it's away from home, and typically we tend to struggle away from home, but this is a team that we should be beating, regardless home or away. You know, we're just simply better than them. We have better players than them, and we have a better manager. And I don't expect anything but 3 points.
No, I agree. And look, we're going to touch on in just a couple of minutes' time about, you know, are we overreacting as a fan base? And we're actually going to get onto that. But I actually agree. I think we need to realize and take stock where we're at. We're third in the Premier League, 4 points off top. We're nowhere near as bad as what people are making us out to be. I get it hurts after North London Derby, but look, let's just hold that, and we'll get into that in just a couple of minutes' time. Dark Zone G says, come on, you Spurs. Let's win today and beat Brighton on Saturday. And he's absolutely loving it. He's there with Marcelo. It's only a blip. We're going to win today. Brighton's not going to be easy away as well. Don't really do well there either. But things have to change. And this is the week to absolutely
big games to bounce back in, I would say. Not, you know, easy games to bounce back in, you know, difficult games to bounce back in. If we do bounce back, Dark Sun G, that shows that we do have that backbone and that character that we hope we need this season for sure.
Yeah.
Big up, my man.
Big up, Dark Song G. Big up, Luke C. Good to see you and my man. Carl Simpson is with us. Great to see you, Carl. David Clark, good to see you, my man. Jeannie D, I hope you're keeping well. We've got Leo Green Fingers. Big yourself up, my man. Frank Last, Alberto. We've got Moline. Big yourself up, Moline. Good to see you in the building. Mick Hermalock is here to join us as well. Big up. We've got Philo. He says the North London Derby has gone up behind only just. So now on to the Champions League road with Frankfurt, the next stop. I just want to see us come out of the traps early and put it on them from the get-go. Absolutely love that. Big up, Phil. We've got Jay Keaveney. He says Conte could have played 3-5-2 against Arsenal. Skip could have started over Basuma. Sebas Wolf says we better win today. If not, I'll lose my shit. I think a lot of us will.
Big up, Sebas.
He says, come on, you Spurs. Neil Hartley says the way we have been playing, we'll get our asses kicked. Fair point. I can understand.
Listen, I disagree. Listen, I got to disagree with that, man. You know, look, we haven't been playing the most stellar football, David, right? We haven't been playing the most stellar football. And in the Emirates, yes, that was a tough day. But as much as I hate them, they are a good team. And that is a tough fixture, regardless. You know what I mean? Away at the Emirates is a tough fixture, whether we like to, you know, admit it or not, right? And every time we've won a game, look, every time we won a game, go look back at the stats. It was not because of luck. It was because we were the better team. We simply outran every team, and we simply scored more goals, and we created more chance. And that's how you win games. Was it pretty? No. But we got the job done, and we got the win, you know, over the line. And you know what? We didn't do that on Saturday, but today we're going to do that. And we've been playing fine this season. And I think the team is only going to get better and get stronger over time. If you look at the points we've already got this season so far, it far exceeds from last season where we were at. You know, last season we were absolutely in catastrophe, David. Last season at this point, we thought this club was going to get relegated. There was a point we thought we could be in a relegation fight. You know what I mean? So let's calm down, guys. Please, let's just calm down with some of these comments. It's too much.
Big up. Al Jeff says, big up, guys. Big up, Al Jeff.
Big up, Al Jeff.
Good to see you, my man. We've also got Juan Daniel Sandoval. Good to see you, brother. Orange Fantasy, great to see you back. Hope you're keeping well. He says, give Spence a chance. Big up, Chris. Good to see you in the building, my man. We've got Dark Some Gio Marcelo, long time no see. I hope yous and Napoli wins today. Also, I love how Liverpool are dropping points left, right, and centre. Worried about Trossard from Brighton. Marcelo, what would you say, Dark Sun G, my man?
First off, Dark Sun G, thank you for the the support and everything you've done for this channel. You've been a long time member, so always appreciate you, man. But yeah, listen, love seeing Liverpool get what they deserve, and you know what? It's coming to them. It's coming this season. Just
we
wait.
know a few fans on Twitter that we have to go after.
Yeah, no, listen, they're my revenge is coming soon, bro. They just wait, and yeah, man, Trossard, he is a problem coming against Brighton. He is going to be their main, forward that we're going to have to watch out for. But I think, I think against Brighton, listen, that's a game for Saturday. Today is against Frankfurt, so I rather focus on Frankfurt. Focus on the opponent that's ahead. They may be crap, but they're ahead of us right now, and we got to face them and we got to beat them.
We do. And Dark Song G, I have a question for you, my man. Tonight, Sonny will be making his 50th Champions League appearance. He will join Park Ji-sung as the only other Asian player to reach 50 appearances in the competition. Who is better and who has a bigger reputation around Asia? Let me know in the comments, Dark Song G. Big yourself up, my man. There's a good stat for you, Dark Song G. Don't know if you had that. He says, are they Frankfurt players out good players?
The injured players, yeah, out good for them. I responded to him. I think Jakic is actually not a bad player. From what I've seen, is that he plays a lot for them and he plays like all over the pitch, kind of wherever they need it.
As well, isn't he?
And good. So you said, yeah, Dave. Yeah, he's kind of just come into them this season, and obviously is a good addition to them. I'm not sure how much of an impact he's really made, but obviously a good addition. But I would say with Jakic is that he sort of is like, I don't even know what a good comparison is in the Premier League, but basically he plays everywhere from like center mid to right back to wherever, they need a position filled. He can play it, and he usually starts, I would say, as well. So that's my thoughts on it. But Götze, I mean, obviously we all know that he is capable of being, a brilliant player.
They still have some good players left, though. The Dark Song G, Kamada, this new French kid they're wondering about. We'll get to look at Ndika tonight as well. But big up, Dark Song G, brother. Really appreciate the support, my man. We've got Adrian Sheehan now. Says, big up, lads. Conte's mad mood. Hope squad responds. I'll be honest. He's just more or less said what I've said about Matt Doherty for about a year and a half now, to be honest with you. Look, at the end of the day, I think he's just getting fed up with people questioning him, to be quite frank. I think he's just giving it. Look, he's tried giving these answers in a nice way. People won't accept him. They keep calling for these guys to come back in. And I think he's just getting frank with people now. It's just like, look, stop asking me about it. This is what I really think. There you are. Don't ask me about it again. I guarantee you they won't ask him about Matt Doherty again. But big up, Adrian Chia. And look, we do need a response from the squad, because I see certain similarities from what I've seen before where maybe we haven't learned lessons, which is coming out the back of a North London derby saying we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Done it under Jose Mourinho, got knocked out against Zagreb. Done it under Nuno, I think we lost the following game backing up to that. So, I mean, we actually better see a response today, Adrian Chia. Big up, my man. Really appreciate the support. Dark Zone G says at least our derby loss wasn't bad like Man United and Forest. Yeah, look, I'll be honest, Dark. I'm not going to take solace in that, to be honest with you. I do get what you're trying to do, and I know you're trying to cheer me up, but it still hurts. And at the end of the day, I don't even buy this excuse anymore that, it's the Emirates, we never win there. Some stage, we have to change it. If we want to cement our dominance in North London, we have to change that and start winning at the Emirates. But I do see what you're saying, Dark Song G. Big yourself up, brother. Really appreciate the support.
David,
I know the answer to my question.
I got a question for you, and this is something that kind of been bugging me about this squad. Do you think we tend to play the occasion and not the game often?
Oh, well, you know what? I actually have a question about our away form.
Was this a question? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
He's a clever man, Marcelo is. He's ahead of the game.
I'll give my thoughts on it when we get to it.
Okay, fair enough.
I do get what you're saying. I fully understand what you're saying, my man. Brian C. Socrates, big up, Brian. I hope you're keeping well. Let me know if you're going on that Leeds trip. He says, just tuned in. Loving the positivity from Marcelo. Listening to you lads on the Irish Hotspur makes my day. Looking forward to seeing us put things right tonight. Come on, you Spurs. In Conte, we trust.
Love you,
and look, we'll probably use this to segue into the first question I have for the guys here. But look, Brian, for me, it's it's not doomsday like we're making it out to be. It really isn't. Like, you know, we've had a good season so far. You know, I get we've had 2 disappointing defeats, you know, maybe giving away the 3 points against West Ham and stuff like that. But we've had a good start to this season, a solid start. And like Marcelo said, you got to take stock of where we were last season, you know, and stuff like that. And just realize we're having a lot better start this season. And it's not all as doom and gloom. And look, hopefully the Tottenham team will back that up today, Brian. Hopefully we'll back that up. But what I want to know, and we'll start with you on this, Marcelo, my man, and then we'll go to Jacko. But look, I get, understandably, we as fans, we were very upset at the loss to Arsenal, and it hurts, and I get it. But many have questioned Conte's management, questioned the transfer window, questioned individual players' abilities. But like I said, Marcelo, we're third in the Premier League with 17 points from 8 games. And that loss to Arsenal was the first in the league this season. Are we overreacting as a fan base?
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you not look only at the results and you compare it to last season to where we were to where we are now, it's not only just like a massive difference, it's almost night and day. You know, we look like a complete different team to what we were last season at this point. You know, we look organized, we're getting results, we have a philosophy, and it's just about just giving the manager time. Just giving the manager time and just giving the players time to adapt to that philosophy and allow them to get stronger, to get better, to get more adjusted to it. You know, this is Conte's first preseason. You know, look at the way Arsenal played, right? They played like a very organized team that have been around each other for a very long time. And that's because they have been. You know, they've been a team that's been around, you know, for what, 4 years? Tottenham's been there for what, 4 years now? Right?
December 2019.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So like 3 or 4 years, that's a long time in football, you know? So Conte, you know, he's only been really here for a full year, if you really think about it, you know? So
hasn't even reached that yet.
Yeah, and you know, this is his first preseason. You got to give it time. Once you give that manager time, and once he's able to get better players, no one in this beginning of the season really expected us to challenge for the title. I know some of us did. I know you do, but you know, and realistically, if we're being fair to Conte, nobody expected him to win the title this season, right? It's just unfair to think about that. So for me, as long as we stay in that top 4 spot, man, and as long as you know we're challenging for cups and we're around that place, I'm content. I'm okay with it this season, you know, and we just keep improving, keep the squad improving.
I agree. I actually think the fact that we haven't actually hit our top form yet is where I take positives from, because that will happen. Yes. I think when you look at people questioning Conte's tactics, the reason why they haven't been as productive as they were last season, there's a number of things. Going forward, we're not playing well. Even though we've scored goals, we're not playing well going forward. Even Conte alluded that to it in the press conference. They asked him about the Arsenal game, and he said, we're bypassing the press. We're getting the balls into good areas. But the difference between last season and this season, we were killing them in possession. When we had it, we were going up and getting the goals. This season, we're not using it well. We're not killing them. And that's basically what Conte alluded to. But it's the chopping and changing that the fans, in my opinion, have asked for. Look, obviously, Kulu's injuries haven't helped. But last season, we played Kane, Son, and Kulu consistency. And look at the rewards we got from it. Yep. This season, we want to drop. We're taking Sonny out, bringing in Richarlison, taking Kulu out, etc., etc. And there's not enough. They need time to get up to speed with each other at the start of every new season. And we haven't really, in my opinion, given them that time yet to be able to gel. So once that clicks, you're going to see a complete different Tottenham. And as well, we're having a go at Antonio Conte. This is a guy that has won trophies everywhere he's gone. You know what I mean? Inter, Juve. This guy is a serial winner.
Also, not only that, David, he got us to top 4. Forget what he did with those. Forget what he did for those other clubs. Look what he did for us.
Yeah,
you know,
I know. I'm going to get
loyalty.
The faith he's shown us. The faith he's shown us. Exactly.
I'm going to get onto that as well. Like, you know, and the thing is, like, just give the guy time. We've got 6 new signings in. They're taking it's taking it time to see where they fit in best. Bleed them in. Once they hit the ground running, middle of the season, we're going to have a strong carry to the season. So we will just get behind the boys. Let's not be so quick to constantly call for change and Conte out and this, that, and the other, because Under Jose Mourinho, I told everybody, it's going to get worse after Jose Mourinho. You may think it's bad now, but it's going to get worse. So instead of always blaming the manager, start looking at other things around instead of always pinpointing it on the manager. And what happened under Jose? The same people that called for Jose to be sacked cried when we got Nuno in. And that's the way it's going to go after Conte. And we're going to have that lull again. So be very, very careful what you wish for. And just give something a bit of time. Because if we don't do it now, what we'll do is we'll end up like Man United, like Arsenal, where they've done a constant manager turnover. They've got squads that represent that as well. And then all of a sudden you're stuck with a Mikel Arteta or a Ten Hag who are not really good enough to bring that club back to once, but the club's back to where they once were. And they're still so far off it. And we'll end up having to sit here with some fucking ordinary Joe Soap in charge, and we'll have to like it and lump it. So I'll be very, very careful what you wish for, and just let's stop the overreaction. But Jack, what's your thoughts, my man? A big up Brian C.
I just want to say to Brian C, if you hadn't seen my message, do send in that fan cam today if you're available, Brian C. Want to see that Brian C Socrates fan cam, especially, you know, no matter the result. All I can add is really to it, Dave, is what we were kind of speaking about just the other night. And then, you know, we'll kind of probably get into it later anyways. But I feel like we've gone a bit wrong here is we've seemed to become a bit short-sighted with what Conte's already done so far in the job. Like Marcelo alluded to, only a year into the job. And he got us from what seemed like a hopeless season into top 4 and back to where Spurs immediately wanted to be. Spurs were kind of acting like, and probably we were, thinking it would take maybe more than a season, maybe a season and a half, 2 seasons to get back into the Champions League. Conte just kind of fast forwarded it back into the Champions League, and obviously took a lot out of him in order to do that. And he showed a lot of faith towards us by doing that as well. And for us to be kind of so quickly turning against him after only really one defeat, and also as well, you know, just a bit of maybe poor football from time to time just to watch. Like, is that really all it takes for us to turn against a guy who's already shown us so much faith as it is? It just seems, I don't know, Dave, it seems a bit disingenuous kind of from us. It seems disingenuous.
And not to interrupt you, Jacko, but also if you look at the game, you got to look at also the game. And you got to look at what can the manager control, right? Should he have played a 3-5-2? Probably yes, right? But let's look at how the game started against in the Emirates. We started well. We had some moments where we did break their press. We had some moment where we were counterattacking and it looked positive. Arsenal were the better team, but what ultimately ended the game was Hugo Lloris's mistake. Nothing Conte can do about that. You make a mistake.
Marcelo, it's been like that this season. Like I was saying yesterday and today on the phone to Jacko. You look at our tactics. Even if we haven't been playing well, we've always been in a position where we can go on and win a game. They've always kept us in every single game this season, bar when Emerson got sent off against North London Derby. I know a lot of people don't agree with the tactics, but Conte's about winning. So the way we're set up is to keep us actually in the game, so that hopefully when we do take our chances, that's how we go on and win these games. And when you look at some of the games that we have or that we've maybe slipped up in, you're correct, Marcelo. It's been individual errors.
Yeah. And there's nothing, nothing Conte can do about it. And look, if we were winning games and we were getting lucky, like with Jose, let's be real here. There's a couple games where we honestly should have lost, but we were able somehow to hold that 1-0 victory, right? But it hasn't been that way. Yes, it's been slow football. Yes, it's been a little bit boring at times. But every win we have had this season, David, we have had the higher XG. We've had usually sometimes better possession. And
more shots on target.
So we've earned we've earned those wins. And that's a big important thing, because it means that despite the performance not looking pretty, the performance is worn 3 points. It's effective and it wins games. And the North London Derby, it wasn't because of the tactics, it was because how the tactics were drilled. The players had not drilled the tactics right. Emerson Royale and Hugo Lloris ruined that game. Had nothing to do with Antonio Conte.
No, fair. So I think we'll all agree. I think we're overreacting. But then again, hopefully we get the win today to prove a point that maybe we are overreacting. If not, maybe there could be some cause for concern. Dark Sub G says, I hope Lloris is rested this week. I want to see Fraser Forrester. I will be touching on that, my man. Look, I'll be honest. I call for Emerson to be dropped today for his mistake. I also think Hugo should be dropped. He's made a number of clangers this season, high-profile ones. And even I question his leadership to the point against West Ham. just kicks the ball out of play when he should be finding a man. No pressure on him whatsoever. They went and scored from it. Yeah, you can blame other players if you want, but start with him. That's your leader. That should never happen. Sporting Lisbon, dead player danced by 3 of our players. Hugo pulls off a save. Now, instead of getting up, and if Pickford can do it at Everton, I don't understand why Lloris can't do it. Instead of getting up, berating and bollocking players and keeping them alert and awake, they're high-fiving each other, kissing each other and hugging each other, and then switching off with a resulting set piece. So I think Hugo Lloris has a lot to answer so far this season. If he plays tonight, he better put in a good performance. But I'll be honest, I know a lot of people say he saves us more time than not. But Hugo Lloris has proven when the pressure is on and the big games come around, and he makes his errors. So tonight, it's not a foregone conclusion that he's going to put in a good performance, Dark Sun G. But big yourself up, my man. Really appreciate the support. THFC till I die. Dermotron says Spurs win tonight and Saturday. Eubank to beat Ben. But I can't wait to January to get married to my most gorgeous girl in Wexford. Come on, you Spurs. Woo! I think you might have had a whiskey today, Dermo.
Congratulations.
Absolutely love it. Congratulations, my man. I'll definitely be there for that for sure. I actually want Ben to beat Eubank, if I'm being quite honest, Dermo. But look, it's all about tonight, all about Champions League. I don't want to get ahead of myself. We've got to get the result tonight, Dermo. But congratulations on the win.
Big up, Dermot. Big up, Dermot. Good man. Good man, Dermot is. And he's been a good man to his partner as well. And Dermot, I wish you all the best this weekend. Big up, brother.
Absolutely love it. Big up, Dermot. And then we'll take this one and we'll move on to talking about our away form, because I've got a stat that might actually horrify a few people. That song, Jesus Park Ji Sung, was a huge sensation back when I was a kid, when Korean players were popular globally. Starting from Lee Young Pyo. Yeah, that was the Spurs left back, my man. Spurs left back plus Park Ji Sung. Korean players became famous globally. Sun to score today. Yeah, look, and he played for Man United. He picked up Premier Leagues. I think he's got a chance. Did he win a Champions League? I think he might have won a Champions League as well.
2008.
I can understand it, but look, Sun's definitely way more popular now, I would say, Dark Sun G. And I think he'd probably go down as better than Ji Sung Park, although he was an incredible player. Wasn't a fan of Lee Young Pyo. That was the guy we brought in at left back. I remember I watched him in one of the games. He had an absolute nightmare and I didn't see him again. So, look, I think he went on and done all right elsewhere, but at Tottenham, he just did not.
That sounded like a victim. Just a victim of Spurs.
Yeah.
We tend to do that to some players.
To be fair, I think Sonny will maybe in some, I think he will achieve something, maybe even he's achieved already a lot with the Korean national team. I think Sonny has, he's taken the Korean national team further.
Yeah, he's won a trophy with them.
I think Sonny will maybe go down personally, maybe higher than Park Ji Sung. And then also Kim Min Jae will definitely get more than 50 appearances in the Champions League. I'll tell you that. That guy is going to be one of the best center backs, as we know already, Dark Sun G, in Europe. And then last little Korean player, I would say, that guy at Swansea, I actually had a bit of a fondness for. Ki, I think his name was, or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of liked him. He was just a big unit kind of in the midfield. Who had little tidy feet.
He was at Celtic for a little while. I think he went to Celtic.
I didn't mind Key either. I actually liked Key, but big up Dark Sun G.
Big up Dark Sun G. Really appreciate support, my man. Absolutely love it. I just wanted to know what the general thoughts were out there on it. It's a good monumental occasion for Sonny to equal the record anyway. And then we take this from Faz Radfar, says a golden time at Conte and Paratici may not repeat. Look, I agree, and I think we have to take stock and realise the job that they've done. They brought us from a Europa Conference League, which we were going to fall below that the following season if we carried on going the way we're going. With the recruitment and the management of both of them and the pair combined, we're now in the Champions League. And at the start of this season, some people like me were maybe talking about an outside title shot. So, it just goes to show what these guys have really done and the magnitude of the job they've done. And it's all down to the quality of player that's been brought in here and a quality manager. But big up Faz Radfar. Really appreciate the support, brother. Now, Marcelo, we were talking about the mentality of the Spurs team, and here's the stat that I have for our away stats, my man, and it's not good. You might want to block your ears. But Spurs have not won any of their last six away games in Europe, a run that dates back to their 4-1 win over Austrian side Wolfsberger in the Europa League 2 seasons ago. Now, what I want to know, Marcelo, is why do we struggle so badly away from home, especially?
I just think it's what I was going to say. I think we play the occasion sometimes. I think we play up a little bit too much with the crowd. And I think sometimes the players, they feel less accountable sometimes as well. You know what I mean? I think they sometimes don't feel as accountable when, they're not at home because, the home fans won't, there won't be like an overwhelming boo in case there was like a bad performance or a horrific one. And that's why I think a lot of times we see those Zagreb's away performances and, some of those Colchester performances where, the players just aren't at it. And I think it's because we play the occasion and sometimes we're just not intense enough. When you play away these home games, you have to build an intensity where you have to let the opponent know that whatever the crowd is doing, it's not affecting you. You know what I mean? You have to let the team know, the opposition know, because once they see that the crowd is affecting you, the atmosphere is affecting you, they're gonna just ramp it up. And that's when you give the opposition hope. That's when you give them confidence and the courage to hurt you. And today we got to just go right at Frankfurt, aggressive. We got to be, winning the second balls. We got to be more, pressing. We can't, we don't press enough. We're probably, I'm not going to lie, I think we're one of the worst teams at pressing and in the top 6.
Let me ask you this, Marcelo. I definitely agree with you on that. But let me ask you this. Is it a mentality issue or is it a leadership issue away from home? Because you look at Hugo, his big mistakes come away from home. But you also look at the rest of the squad. We don't really perform when we're away from home. So is it down to leadership or is it down to mentality? Because in that run, like we've had NS Moore away, who we should have been beaten. Rennes away, who we should be beaten. Pacos de Ferreira away, who we should be beaten. Vitesse, who we should be beating. So there've been probably some of the easiest European away games you will get over the last 2 years, and we failed. So is it mentality or leadership?
I mean, that's a really tough one to answer, but you know what? Someone's got to hold the players accountable. I really think it's about being held accountable. And I think Hugo Lloris, like you said, man, instead of high-fiving for just poor and lackluster defending when, sporting players are basically treating us, like they're Barcelona and we're like, like Celtic or something, you know what I mean? Like, there's no high-fiving in that, you know what I mean? You got to yell at the players, tell them to wake up, get back at it, and hold them accountable for doing their job. And I think it's about holding everybody accountable for just doing what they're supposed to do and not being intense enough. You got to be intense.
I agree. I actually agree with the intensity because you see Hugo Lloris in the documentary, no problem saying it to Son at halftime. But I do not see him roar up players on the pitch, which is where they fucking need it. Not in the dressing room after mistakes have already happened. Actually on the pitch. So I think it's still a combination of both. I think it's a combination 100% of leadership away from home, but then also the mentality as well. But I think if you had stronger leadership, you'd have a stronger mentality, in my opinion. But Jack, Spurs have not won any of their last we have also not won any of our last 5 away games across all competitions this season. The North London Derby was away from home. The match at Frankfurt is also away from home. Brighton away from home this weekend and Man United away from home on the 19th. Is this a condensed period of games where Spurs will have to learn how to perform at a higher level away from home?
I believe the only away win we've had this season was at Forest, if not mistaken, and it wasn't exactly very pretty at certain stages. It's certainly like I was kind of alluding to earlier. Like, what do you want? Do you want an easy kind of way out of the North London Derby? Do you want to kind of just beat up on teams that you'll kind of beat any day, or do you want to kind of continue to be challenged and kind of pick yourself up that sort of way and not how would you put it? Give yourself kind of easy games that could make it look like everything's all good and well when it probably might not be. It's probably better to, come up against really good teams once again to maybe pick yourself up that way. That way you're not sort of lying to yourself in any sort of manner about what you're capable of. And I think this season, Spurs have shown to be maybe a different team away from home than not actually at home. I think away from home, we do kind of cower a bit more. And even speaking to Marcelo's thing about pressing, I actually think the pressing is probably, it seems to just not be instructed in the same way, or at least not executed in the same way away from home for Conte, because I'm not sure, but it seems away from home, we really do sit a whole lot deeper than we even do at home, perhaps because Conte doesn't want to maybe be seen that negative when he is playing at home, but also it just could be part of the mentality that you kind of mentioned, Dave, where maybe aren't really enough leaders that know how to sort of play the game, not the occasion, like another thing Marcelo said there. And if you ask me, I feel like it is actually more that the players playing maybe the occasion, less the game, because if we were actually recognizing the 11 versus the 11, we should really just be demonstrating our class, demonstrating our superiority over most teams away from home. But it seems like we can't. We actually do kind of cower and kind of stoop to their level. And once you kind of stoop to their level, it does kind of become anybody's game, and it does become a tricky affair. And it can be anybody as good as Frankfurt, or it can be anybody as bad as NS Mura. Once you stoop to their level, to their kind of game plan, to their kind of style, you're going to put yourself in a tricky scenario there. And so, Dave, I'm actually happy that we have all these away games coming up, because if anything, it's a great way for Spurs to actually pick themselves up quickly in these away performances, and maybe not kind of brush it under the carpet or brush it under the rug like in any manner. They're going to have to figure it out quickly and soon. And that probably is a good way for us fans to see how they do it, instead of, 3 months down the line, reminding ourselves, oh, wait a minute, that's right, we're not good away from home. It's nice to see that, we're kind of figuring it out quite quickly, or we're forced to figure it out quite quickly. It's a better way to say it.
Yeah, 100%.
One thing is also, sorry, David.
No, go on.
If you're a top 6 side for the Premier League, and you're playing these smaller teams like Frankfurt, like Mora, when they first come in playing with you, there's a certain fear factor that they come in playing with you, and you have to demonstrate that fear factor. Because once that kind of, like, for example, when, they come play Liverpool, or they come play Chelsea, or, they go play these other teams, they sit deep, and they kind of like, see how they play around them. And that's what often happens is these teams, they sit deep, and we're just too slow with the ball. We're also not creative enough. We're not taking chances. Not enough people in the box. And once that happens, once that fear factor is dead, once a team stop fearing you and stop fearing you with the ball, they're just going to be encouraged to counterattack you and press you for however long they want. So we gotta be lethal once we have the ball. We gotta also be, creative, and we gotta start getting people in the box, and we gotta start getting Harry Kane in the box most of all, and we gotta start getting Son in the box, because they've been playing too many roles where they've been dropping back deep, way too deep. Sonny's been playing sometimes as a left wing back alongside Perisic, and what is he going to do if he's playing left wing back? He's got to get more on the offensive line. He's got to get in better positions, and we got to be a little bit more offensive minded. I do agree with that tactic wise with Conte. Yeah. He needs to be a little bit more offensive minded in these away games.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we have to learn to start engaging the opposition higher up the pitch, especially away from home, because all you're doing is inviting on the pressure with the home crowd behind them, roaring the ball or winning the ball to go into the net. It creates a difficult atmosphere. But I also agree with the point you made that if we start learning to become lethal going forward like we were last season, we will then see a result of where teams are like, okay, we can't keep pressing Tottenham. We're going to have to sit back in. I think that's what we were expecting a lot of teams to do to us this year. Sit the low block. That's how you beat Tottenham, but they haven't. They've continued to press us. But when our front three becomes lethal, they will start sitting off us, and then we'll have to come up with a different game plan altogether. I definitely agree with that, my man. Everybody, what's going on? If you're enjoying this show, if you're enjoying this discussion, if you're enjoying the build up to tonight's game and we've changed your mood, smash that like button. Let's get the likes up. Over 200 in-house, 218 watching, only 75 likes. Let's absolutely obliterate that like button, and also smash that subscribe button if you have not. Maria Williams here. And by the way, you were granted a channel membership by, it was either Truth Sets You Free or Rob Wallace yesterday, Maria. So hopefully you use that membership and you get on the fan show on it every Monday or Friday. And she says, anyone doubting Conte, who else would do better? People need to give their head a wobble. Also, whoever gifted me the membership, thank you. Well, it was Rob Wallace or the Truth Sets You Free. So hopefully you do use it. But this is the thing. It's all well and quick. It's all well and good. Come out with buzzwords, sack Conte out.
Yeah.
Put names forward. Put names forward that you think is achievable. And if that name isn't achievable, then there's your answer. Do not sack Conte. But stop the buzzwords and actually put names forward.
And also, David, come on, man. I'm just sick and tired of this whole like switching managers.
Yeah.
Look, I
We're
understand.
turning
I
into a
understand.
Watford here.
Yeah, like I understand. Yeah, really, it's kind of becoming embarrassing.
We almost have a Watford mentality as a fan base. We almost
it's
have a
honestly
Watford
become
mentality.
embarrassing at this point. I'm actually kind of like, I'm not kidding, man. When I see those comments, I kind of become embarrassed as a Spurs fan because I can understand the Nuno aspect, right? Like losing 3 games in a
Sure.
row, 3-0, and the manner we were losing.
Things were becoming undone.
It was
No
just
credit in the
ugly.
bank either for him. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand with Jose Mourinho, you know what I mean? He lost the dressing room. He wasn't assertive enough. He wasn't demanding enough. He tried to make things work too often, and he just, I understand those guys, but I mean, come on, guys. Do we really want to, do another Pochettino where okay, the manager has a little bad blip, we sack him and then we have to start all over again? You know what I mean? We finally have a great manager, not just a good manager, a great manager. We have a good squad of players. We haven't even hit our form yet, and we're still we've only had 2 losses this season. We have yet to hit our form. Give him some time. Give him this season. Hell, I'm willing to give this guy 2 seasons of where we're just not competing for the Premier League and we're just building.
The guy's not even here a full year yet. It's not even his year anniversary.
And he's got credit in the bank in less than a year. In less than a year, he's already got incredible faith and credit in the bank. Like Mia, absolutely agree. Spot on. And to be fair, I give my head a wobble every single morning just to make sure, the brain is still in there. But I would say people have said Conte out. Maybe fair to do the same.
Big up Maria Williams.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Big up Maria. Really appreciate the support.
And also want to see a Friday, like Dave said. On the
get on.
Maria.
Don't be shy. Get on. We'll get you through it. Dark Song G says, and even if you don't want to have your camera on, look, just come on, have the camera off, and just even get your voice out there. Let's hear what you have to say. A lot of people saying you're a smart lass. Dark Song G says our points are better than Liverpool's plus Chelsea's, which, to be honest, even I didn't expect. Blues and a Champions League risk is Potter. We have better results from transfers than Liverpool, who spent tons of money for Nunes, who is a flop so far. Jack, what would you say to Dark Sun G here? It's quite an interesting take. I'll give them that.
I've actually from the while been saying Nunez would actually be a flop. I've never really been very convinced with him on the technical level. Dark Sun G, I actually think he's a bit clumsy, and I do love a good donkey for a striker, but he is a bit more of the clumsier side of the donkeys for striker, not like a Mitrovic, I would say. But on top of that, I think is maybe another reason for Spurs fans to be a bit optimistic here is we are in the moment still replacing the likes of Chelsea and Liverpool this season, Dark Sun G. And I think sometimes we need to remember that. Arsenal, as much as we don't like to see them this close to us, and it's probably why we're in so much panic all the time, is because we don't like to see the scum this close to us in the table, Dark Sun G. We like to see them further down. But this year, the North London clubs have been replacing the likes of Chelsea and Liverpool in the table and have been looking like the more convincing teams in all regards. And so it is something that if it continues this way in the season, I think will be a huge feat, because if you ask me, the sort of top 4 has been a bit well established, has been kind of concrete, hasn't really moved around very much. They've sort of kind of been well established, you could say. Be nice to see kind of 2 teams sort of kind of replace those 2 of the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea. And to be honest, Potter over there, I think he really got away with one against Crystal Palace. I watched that whole game, and the way that Aubameyang was able to save them, I actually thought it was pretty well classed from him. But he got saved. I thought Crystal Palace and plenty of that game were actually the better team, and it actually took 2 really good goals from Chelsea in order to win. Nothing to do with the Potterman system.
There are a few.
Big up,
there were a few Palace fans at Gatwick Airport, actually, and they were absolutely
They were the better team. I watched
Conor
the whole
Gallagher
game.
scoring the winner as well. They were absolutely
It took 2 worldy goals, actually, from Chelsea. It took 2 worldy goals. It was nothing like simple from them. Yeah, Dave.
But you know what? I absolutely enjoyed their misery, because at least I wasn't the most miserable there. So I actually enjoyed their misery. But big up Dark Sun G, brother. Really appreciate support. And absolutely interesting take, because many people are actually saying we haven't performed well in the transfer market in hindsight.
I'll find a clip of myself on Nunez and I'll send it to you, Dark Sun G. I'll find a clip of myself on Flatcap and I'll send it to you about Nunez. I definitely had my doubts.
Yeah, I absolutely love that take. And again, just to take stock, we're higher than Liverpool and Chelsea in a better start. So, I agree, Dark Sonji. Absolutely spot
And
on.
also, not only just better, but also we look to be in a better position than them. If we look at honest, like I think Chelsea this season, forget about top four. I really don't think they're going to get top four. I think Graham Potter, he's a good manager, but he's not all that. He's not what everybody thinks he is. He hasn't experienced this top level. He hasn't experienced top level football, and he hasn't experienced a top level club. Like Chelsea, which unfortunately they are, but. I think that they're not going to make it top four this season. I think Liverpool, I think they will, but they have a lot of changes. Losing Mane, Firmino getting older, their midfield looks old. Van Dijk, bro. I mean, like, I'm sorry, man, but your presence is just not there anymore. You know what I mean? You got to actually put in a tackle, bro. Like the guy just looks like a yard slower. So I think, unfortunately, like Jacko said, Arsenal kind of was with us, and that club that who kind of overtook Chelsea and Liverpool, and Arsenal kind of came along with us in that perspective, and we look like we're the fresher, younger squad. We both of us do look like we're the new up and coming squad to take over that place, and unfortunately. It's going to be a battle between that second spot, I think, between us and Arsenal. I think that second spot is going to be a battle between us two. And
I don't even think it will. I actually think people are just overhyping Arsenal. They're going to have their fall from grace. I trust me.
I think they're good. I personally think they're good. I think we will finish above them, but I think they'll finish third. I think they will finish within the top four this season. I really do. I think Arsenal will finish top four.
I don't think so. Look, there's always teams that start off shit hot and then everyone praised them and then they end up falling off. Last season, West Ham, everyone was saying, no, start for Champions League. Where did they end up? They were miles off it by the end of the season. I see what you're saying. Adrian Chase says even experienced players are making horrid mistakes. And this has got to stop, Adrian. This is what has to stop, my man. Like, these are the guys that we're supposed to look at. These are the guys that the likes of Kulu, Romero and stuff are supposed to look at, help them get through, embrace Tottenham, embrace Premier League life. So that has to stop. And look, it will stop. It will stop. And when that does, you're going to see a much more improved Tottenham. Big up, Adrian Trier. Really appreciate the support, my man. Everyone, feel free to keep getting your super chats in, highlight your comments. We will get them up and we will all discuss them. We're having a very good show today. But look, let's bring on, he's finally here with us. It's the Godfather. Philip, welcome, my man. How are you keeping?
Hiya, lads. How's it going?
Keeping well?
Oh, yeah. Grand, yeah. Nervous about tonight now, but hopefully we'll get a win.
Yeah,
I hope so. But look, Philip, we'll get straight into it because we're going to move on to the lineups now in just 1 minute. But I do want to talk about this crowd. Frankfurt is one of Europe's most hostile atmospheres. Do you think this will actually affect our players today? Can they handle the pressure? And for me as well, I think it's important to quieten down that crowd early. Very, very, very quickly. How do we go about that?
I think I saw the club sent out a warning to the fans not to go to a certain area of Frankfurt, which is a bit worrying, So, okay, the atmosphere is going to be toxic again tonight. But, I don't think the players should shut that out. Listen, we're a better team than Frankfurt. In my opinion, Frankfurt shouldn't be in pot 1 of this Champions League.
Yeah.
Just because they won the Europa League. They should be in pot 3.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a great team. They're not a great team. We play to our strengths tonight. And, okay, I know we've lost the last 5 on the trot in Europe, which isn't very instill confidence for tonight, But I think if there's going to be any reaction after Saturday's debacle, it's going to be tonight. This will show, what if the players have got pride in their jersey. And that's what I was worried on Saturday. Some of the players looked like they couldn't get off the pitch quick enough once we went 3-1 down. And that was worrying, And again, I'm hoping against hope that Jed Spence gets a look in tonight because he probably won't. I don't think...
Well, look, let's no, we'll get onto that in a minute, but I do actually have questions on what Conte said on Spence and Doherty. But Philip, I just got to tell you now, Emerson is starting tonight. Conte more or less alluded to in his press conference yesterday, so don't be too upset.
Oh well, that's another illusion shattered.
So yeah, it looks like he's playing anyway. But so don't get too disheartened when you see it, my man. But look, Jacko, according to Sky Sports news journalist Michael Bridge, Basuma informed Conte's staff of his muscle problems just one day before the game, before the North London Derby. Do you think that's the reason why Conte did not play the 3-5-2?
There is definitely some evidence behind that. I think he probably was well prepared to do the 3-5-2, and he even alluded to it in his press conference, which was why it was probably so confusing to begin with, because he said, I think verbatim, if I'm not mistaken, Dave, like, I can fully use the 3-5-2 in this upcoming Arsenal game, and I think he said as well on top of that, and I expect to be using it in future fixtures as well, or some version of that. So basically, he did confirm that he is considering using it for that North London Derby, or he was. And then on top of that, he's considering using it a lot in future fixtures. So the fact that he didn't go ahead with it, and then Bissouma was sort of like put on so late, and maybe those kind of rumors did come out, did maybe suggest and make sense, because if he's in the situation where he's deciding between having Skip or Richarlison, he might go with Richarlison. And I think he's maybe favored the 3-4-3 in that scenario. I think next time he should probably consider favoring Skip and go for something a bit safer with the 3-5-2. But if he only had the choice of basically Skip or Richarlison, and that was the choice of a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2, I understand where he's coming from. But tonight, if anything, Dave, I think the 3-5-2 is probably more likely to come about, just because of the confirmed news to Kulusevski. Lucas is still out and whatnot, away from home in Europe. He might want to set up with something a bit safer here. And to be fair, again, just like North London Derby, I kind of hope he does.
Yeah, I agree. Well, look, let's get into it. If it is the 3-5-2, the obvious thing is forwards miss out. And for me, it's going to be either one of Richarlison or Son. And we'll get an answer off everybody. So we'll stick with you, Jack, and then go to Marcelo and back to Philip. But who do you expect to be the front two today, and why?
I think it would be Kane and Son. I think Son is absolutely deadly in a 3-5-2, and that's probably why he even scored that hat trick. It just showed how natural he is, playing on the last man, playing on the shoulder of the defenders, with Harry Kane being able to find him, making those run through the channels and whatnot. Makes perfect sense. And then you can bring on someone like Richarlison, Dave. If you need an extra goal, if you need to chase the game, he's a great player to bring on to chase the game, because he causes havoc. He likes to press players. He likes to get stuck in and whatnot. It seems like Richarlison is a great bench impact, where I feel like Sonny and Harry Kane, I mean, they're world class on their own up top. It's almost like you don't even need sometimes a third attacker, because they're world class on their own up top.
Yeah, 100%. I will add to that. I think, look, my biggest criticism with Richarlison is he hasn't linked up with Son or Kane, and he doesn't quite offer what Kulu does. And you notice when Kulu's not in that team, in terms of the runs that Kulu makes, and behind Kulu has a better pass on him, a better cross. But where you will see the best of Richarlison is actually up front. And I've said this when we signed him. What Richarlison is good at, and what you can rely on him is especially them low block teams. Get the ball out wide, get the ball in the box, and Richarlison will go and attack it. He's absolutely brilliant in the air. But for me, he's a striker. He's not a left or a right player. Marcelo, what's your thoughts on the front two tonight, and just Richarlison in general since he's been here?
Yeah. So with the front two, I think today you have to play Sonny, and obviously Kane is always going to start. But I think you have to play Sonny today, because simply he's also played in the Bundesliga. That's something a lot of people forget. He's familiar playing against Frankfurt. He's familiar playing away against Frankfurt, and that's a huge advantage. Having played in that stadium, having played against their kind of style of football, and been around that team. I think also just like what Jacko said, Kane and Son, they just have that partnership, and they can just connect with each other so well. It just comes so natural for them, and let's hope they do that this game. But as far as Richarlison, look, I think he started off very well. Personally, I think so he can definitely improve in areas. His technical ability, most of all, I think sometimes his passing is what lets him down the most at the end. I think sometimes he relies too much on his pace and dribbling to get him out of certain areas where he could have just passed. I think that's something he can improve in this game. But the effort has been there. The performances, we've seen enough to, know this is a good player. And I also agree with you, David. I think he is better as a forward player, as a player in that middle box, as a in and out striker per se, you know what I mean? And, I would like to see him and Kane play alongside in the future. I like to see that combination. But, but I think it's going to be Son and Kane today.
Yeah, I think it will be Son and Kane, but I wouldn't write off Richarlison playing in it too. I think he'll look a lot more better. But Philip, first of all, Simon wants to know: are you on your private jet on route to Frankfurt?
Yeah, no. No, I wish I was, but unfortunately, no. I'm stuck in a car park in Dublin. No, good man, Simon. No, the private jet's the way I have the ashtray cleaned out. What was I going to say? Yeah, it's got to be Son and Kane tonight to start, I think. I'll make up agree with the rest of you. Richarlison to come on as an impact sub if we need him. But if we're winning 2-0 in 10 minutes in the end, why risk it, So in a way, I hope he doesn't have to come on, because if he does, it looks like we're going to need him to come on and to rescue something out of the game. So we'll see. But I have to say, I know nothing about this Frankfurt team. Absolutely nothing other than the name. So I'm not even sure.
Their midfielder, Kamada, good player.
Yeah, he's
that's the only person I'm worried about, really.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
The French guy they have up front, he seems to be doing well, so he does at the minute.
I haven't paid attention.
Even their striker last season, that guy Borre, who I think is from Venezuela or Colombia, I'm not mistaken. He actually scored a few bangers in the Europa League. I remember one of them he scored against West Ham was an absolute worldie, if I recall. So they do have some good front players, kind of like Sporting, good front players, Philip. But that back line, I would say, is very capable of being gotten at. That back line, you can definitely take advantage of.
Let's hope we look at their weaknesses and go for them. Go at it.
Yeah, and then Rez here saying Frankfurt usually play two systems: 3-4-2-1 and 4-2-3-1. Either way, two up front. Looks certain tonight for us. Big up, Rez. And then as well, you're absolutely spot on. I saw them in the beginning of the season playing a lot of 4-2-3-1. Now they kind of reverted back to the 3-4-2-1 or the 3-4-3. Big up, Rez.
Big up. Philip, I've actually got a bit of a history question for you.
Okay.
Did these two teams have met just twice before in a two-legged affair in the quarterfinals of the Cup Winners' Cup in 1982, where a late Glenn Hoddle goal sent Spurs through to the semis 5-4 in aggregate? Do you remember the game well?
Yeah. I don't remember that game, but I remember this. I remember the next match, the semi-final.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was against. Let me guess. The Barcelona one, no? It's Barcelona. Maybe it wasn't bad. No, maybe I'm getting confused here. No, I don't remember the Eintracht Frankfurt game. I'm afraid.
No, no worries. I thought you might have, especially.
No, unfortunately, no. Yeah, but at that stage where I was living, that stage there was no. I wasn't seeing much soccer on TV.
Yeah.
There was no blanket coverage like you have at the minute. So. I'm sure I was ultra excited when they won at the time, but it just doesn't stick in the memory.
No worries. Now, guys, I do want to talk a bit more about the 3-5-2 before we start going into Emerson, Lloris, and the midfield. Now, Jack, in the North London derby, we were ripped apart through the middle and we could not stop the wave of Arsenal attacks. Conte has flirted with the idea of reverting to the 3-5-2. Now, what I want to know from you, Jack, is we'll put in an extra body in the midfield, shore us up basically, and provide us also a better platform to attack, because that's the whole reason why people are looking for the change in formation. Will it give us what we're looking for?
I think it'll give us what we're looking for, because if Spurs want to see maybe a higher back line, if Spurs want to see the midfield perhaps not be penetrated so much, at least with certain passes that break the lines, if they don't want to see players, camped outside the box so easily, then probably the 3-5-2 would amend a lot of those problems. The only kind of deficiency of the 3-5-2 is that Spurs' biggest strength, as we all know, is in our depth in forwards and is in our quality in forwards. And if you go with the 3-5-2, you are sacrificing inevitably at least two forwards, because you're doing a back three and you're doing only two up top. So I feel like Spurs, though, with the injuries we do have, it's where Conte is now forced to consider the 3-5-2 even more now, because he doesn't have the privilege of having the choice of all of the fit strikers of Lucas, Kulusevski, Richarlison, Kane, Son. He only really has Kane, Son, and Richie at this moment in time, and if you want to include Bryan Hill too, but it just seems like he really is forced to maybe look at the midfielders, because the depth is now more in the midfield. We have more options in terms of Skip and Basuma, etc., to be able to fill into the midfield alongside Bentancur and Højbjerg. I think it would probably fix a lot of certain things that we see on the TV or certain things we see on the field, Dave, when it comes to the midfield and how it's kind of, penetrated and how it's sort of I don't know, kind of dominated, some people would like to say. But I don't know. I think with Conte, he's probably just forced to make that change now, considering the lack of forwards that he actually has now. I think before he went with the 3-4-3 so much because he had so many good forwards to choose from, and you can't blame him for that. But now I think it'd be nice to see a change, and hopefully we're able to see it for 90 minutes instead of like 30 minutes.
I think it will. I think it will ultimately bring the balance we're looking for. I think we're looking at the Leicester game as the prime example. It shored us up defensively and also led us to turning the ball actually over in the midfield and going up and scoring goals. We got 3 goals doing that in the second half. So for me, I do actually think it would bring the balance. Maria Williams says, thoughts on resting Kane at some point? He is playing a lot of games, and to me, that's risky. Ollie Freeman actually rang me earlier on, and he started me about resting Harry Kane, and my simple response is come on, Ollie, you're better than that. Look, at the end of the day, League Cup game, Nottingham Forest to be rested. That's the only time I expect Harry Kane to be rested. He's our main guy. He's our main man. This whole team that top clubs rest their players is mixed. Look at the stats. They all get rested in League Cup games and FA Cup games. Yeah. They very rarely get rested in Champions League or league games, because that's what really matters to these clubs. It's only League Cup and FA Cup games they actually do get rested, especially in the likes of Mo Salah's case, and mainly in the likes of De Bruyne's case and stuff like that. So we've got to stop calling for this rotation all the time, thinking these players are tired. It's 8 games in. 8 games in the Premier League, 2 in the Champions League. He's not tired. And if he's tired, well, then we should ship him on, because then he's got a fitness problem, in my opinion. But big up Maria Williams. I do understand what you're trying to say, but I'll give you the same response again gave to Ollie. Come on. You're better than that. You're better than that. But look, let's move into, we'll just give a quick talk about Hugo Lloris, because I know everyone wants to talk about the right wing-back situation. Marcelo, after Hugo Lloris's clangor in the North London derby and his whole high-profile mistake in big games, is there a shout to drop him tonight and hold him accountable for his errors? Because there are also concerns that he's not fully recovered from his injury.
The only reason why I say don't drop him is simply because we need to win this game, and I just don't trust our backup keepers. It's just simple as that. So no, unfortunately for Hugo, he really is kind of undroppable at the moment, man. You know, it's very, I mean, unless he does something like horrendous, you know, like even worse than the North London derby, like he kicks the ball and scores an own goal or something like that. I just don't see him being dropped, like, ever. Not even for an FA Cup game, I don't see him dropped.
It seems like that. For me, look, if we're not going to, he's going to play, but I also think if people are going to call for Emerson to be dropped for his mistake, you've got to even it out and also call for Hugo Lloris to be dropped.
To be fair, though, David, I think with Emerson's case is we saw how good Doherty was at the right wing back role last season, right? And he had a really good, like, 10 games. And... Six games. Okay, 6 games. All right, 6 games. Hey, he's your countryman, you know. You just let me back.
It doesn't matter. I'm going to call a spade, Marcelo. I'm fair.
Fair enough. No, you're not as bad. You're not as bad.
No, I'm fair. I call it as I see it. Look, I had to sit in the Aviva last Tuesday in the freezing cold. I watched that guy have space after space to attack, and a right back or a left back from Armenia, and he refused to do it. And then people say to me, he's better at crossing the ball than Doherty. Or than Emerson. He doesn't cross the ball. Doherty keeps playing back inside. He doesn't cross the ball. So he can't be better than Emerson at crossing the ball. At least Emerson attempts to cross the ball.
Yeah.
But look, that brings us on to the right wing back situation. And we'll go with Philip and we'll work our way back because I've got more questions. Philip, Emerson got sent off and will be missing the next 3 Premier League games. But Conte is keeping the faith in Emerson tonight. Why do you think he prefers Emerson to the other options we have?
Oh, I have no idea. I've no idea. He obviously sees something.
Nothing you see.
He obviously
sees better than Spencer or Doherty.
Well, I mean that what he done on Saturday was infantile. It was stupid and showed a distinct lack of a footballing brain. I mean, Martinelli was going nowhere, you know, and he just, it was stupid. Conte obviously likes him, and Conte is being loyal to him, but I think loyalty has to be questioned when you've got a player who, to me, is a liability the way he's going things at the moment. Like, what's going to happen tonight now?
Loyalty is also a two-way thing, right, Philip? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You go in there, you perform, you show loyalty to
that's true. That's true. Like I wouldn't shed a tear if Emerson didn't play again for Spurs, to be honest with you. I've got to the stage now when he's on the ball, I'm closing my eyes because I just don't know what he's going to do next. And I do that for two Spurs players. I do it when Hugo Lloris gets the ball at his feet.
Yeah.
And I do it when Emerson's got the ball at all. So during a match, I spend a lot of time with my eyes shut.
He switches to radio.
Yeah, switches to radio. Like, to be honest with you, I think, listen, both those guys, Hugo Lloris and Emerson, deserve to be dropped for their performance on Saturday. But I've no doubt they'll both play tonight.
Yeah.
What you said.
To be fair, I think with Hugo's case is there's no one to replace him, so I don't think we can.
I don't know. I think Foster's a good goalkeeper.
Yeah, a lot of people have faith. In Forster, even Darkside. Forster, Philip does. A lot of people have faith.
I saw Foster play a lot for Celtic now, and I'll tell you one thing. I know it's only Scottish football; it's not like the Premiership, but I'll tell you one thing: I'd far rather have him than Golini or Pau Lopez, the guy that we had before that.
No, I agree.
And he played well at Southampton. He was a stalwart there for quite some time. He's a very good goalkeeper, very good shot stopper. I would definitely have faith in him for sure. But look, Jacko, Conte was asked about Doherty. I think everyone's going to want to weigh in on this, so boys, feel free to follow up after Jack. But Conte was asked about Doherty returning to the lineup, and he said, "Now I'm not seeing him in the right way to start the game. I'm not stupid. I don't want to lose." Now, what I want to know, by the sounds of that, it sounds like Doherty's Spurs, the days in the Spurs shirt are probably coming to an end. Jack, I mean, look, let's talk about the quotes. Harsh, needless, I mean, right timing. Does it sound like Doherty's days are coming to an end?
You could say they're a bit harsh. Let's be honest. He spoke honestly, Conte, and I'll be frank here. I think Spurs fans, as well as the media, have sort of forced Conte or pressured Conte to speak so honestly about Doherty. When being asked about Doherty versus Emerson in the past, he kind of gave more kind of cryptic answers, in favor of Emerson, but didn't exactly put down Doherty in the process. It feels like now after the 10th or 12th time he's been asked about Doherty versus Emerson, he's like, I feel like I got to say this in layman's terms now, where basically I'm not stupid. I like Emerson more. Get over it. It seems like that's what he's basically saying to Spurs fans at this stage. Whether you think he's a moron, whether you think he's totally wrong with that, that's totally your opinion. But Conte seems to be much more in faith, or has much more faith in what Emerson seems to be doing in training, because that's what's clearly the case too, is that's in training Emerson seems to be doing a whole lot more than what Doherty is. And I don't know, Dave, I think he's alluded to it in the past. When asked about it way before, he basically said, listen, I'm picking the right wing back right now that I think will win us games. Basically, more or less saying the same thing without having to put down Doherty. Then asked about it later, he sort of then said, well, Doherty has these injury issues. Emerson's looked really good in training. He's much more physically fit. Again, didn't have to put down Doherty, but sort of explained himself. Now we're like, weeks down the road, and he's still being asked about it. And I think he's just like, whatever, guys, like, I'm just going to have to put down Doherty and just put it plainly for you. And now he won't probably ever have to be asked about it ever again. And I think it was, you could say, a bit harsh, but also the consistent pestering by kind of us as fans, as well as the media, has sort of made him be so, honest about it. If you ask
Do you know what? I think he's right, to be honest. Look,
he tried to be clever about it. He tried to be cryptic before. Yeah.
But a lot of these players didn't like hearing the home truths that Jose Mourinho gave them. They thought they'd get a manager that come in here and put up their backside. But then with that, you expect more improved performances. Have we really seen that from Matt Doherty? I wouldn't say so. And I think at the end of the day, Conte's been asked and asked and asked and asked. He thinks that people are thinking they know better than him. So he's just told you straight out now. And at the end of the day, it's up to Matt Doherty how he responds. We just said straight out. And it's what I've always said about the guy. He's crap defensively. He's absolutely a liability defensively. And I think that's what Conte means. But Marcelo, we'll let Philip, because I know Philip's stewing. He doesn't like anything bad said about Doherty. But Marcelo, we'll let you
No.
in.
He's in a
No,
car park.
let Philip. Let Philip. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this. Go ahead, Philip.
I see a comment just gone through there where it says Conte has thrown Doherty under the bus. He's not only thrown him under the bus, he's reversed back over him to make sure. But I think if I was Matt Doherty now, I'd put my house up in the market and sell it.
And sell
because
that
there's
golf
no way.
membership he has with Kane.
Well, whatever. Yeah, we can. I love any Irish player to do well at Tottenham. I really do. I wish them, every success in the world. Unfortunately, Matt Doherty never showed the potential or the good footballing brain that he had when he played for Wolves. You see the leave it behind him in Molineux when he came to Spurs. So that is the kiss of death. What Conte said to him yesterday. Yeah. That's it. I'm afraid, And I say with regret because.
Is it harsh on Conte's side, or has Matt Doherty done enough, Phil?
No, I think Conte had to say it, because if he didn't say it, we're all going to be in limbo. We're going to wonder what's he going to do, and now we know what he's going to do. He's not going to pick Doherty unless he really has to.
It's like
unless there's an outbreak of bubonic plague in the Spurs dressing room, then he might pick him. But that's about it.
Yeah. No, personally, I think Matt Doherty these days at Spurs is over after those comments. I really do think so. I don't think we're going to see him play for us again unless, we lose all of our right wing backs. I honestly think Spence is in the higher pecking order than Matt Doherty is right now, just simply because
saying something.
No, I listen, David. I think no, but how can it be, David? What else can it be? He doesn't rate him. He doesn't rate him.
No, let me tell you why. So I'm going to give you his quotes on Spence, and also his sister's been coming out. Just give me 1 second and I'll get them up. Colin Turner just quickly says we have a great history of quality Irish players. At Tottenham, we had Stephen Carr, better than Matt Doherty. Stephen Kelly, better than Matt Doherty. And he's the worst Irish right back we've had at Tottenham. Marcelo,
don't forget Ginger Pele. Don't forget Ginger Pele.
Yeah. Ginger, he was
another Doherty. Another Doherty.
Yeah. Could play centre back and striker. What a legend. But Marcelo, Conte said on Jed Spence as well, if I didn't decide to pick one player, it's maybe because he's not ready. But surely, basically, it's that's what he says, because he's not ready. But then Spence's sister has not come out and helped his case. She keeps talking about him in the press, which, if there's a leak in Spence's camp, Conte's old school. That'll be wiped out very, very quickly. So is Spence actually in the pecking order ahead of Doherty, Marcelo?
Listen, I think he is. I think, Spence probably, I hope he would talk to Conte and say, look, my sister's she's a little brat. She's a little kid. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Yeah. I'm here. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to, get better. Because in reality, Conte is right. Spence shouldn't just come in and start over everybody. But I think after a North London performance like that from Emerson, I think that is the perfect time to introduce Spence, because I just don't see him starting Matt Doherty after those comments. And if he does, then I'm going to have to question Conte after that. I'm going to have to, because you can't start a player after saying those type of comments.
He's not. You know what he's going to do against Brighton? Perisic will be right wing back. Session will be left wing back.
Probably. That's probably what's going to happen. But you can't. Matt Doherty days, it's done. He's basically said, "Look, I don't rate you. I don't want you at my club, and you're January. Pack that bag because you're going." I don't see him staying.
Small victory in that Jed Spence is now a bit higher up the pecking order.
Do you know what? This is why I like old school managers, because they will call out these players. Sometimes they get it all their own way. They're living in fantasy land, and I like a manager that come in and call out these players. And when he calls them out, you've got two choices. You can go and sit home and cry and ring mammy every night and cry about it, or you can actually get on the training pitch and fucking do something about it. Now, someone like Matt Doherty has had long enough, and he's had two managers that have called him out, Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte. So if he doesn't react after this, that's completely on the guy, and he's just not meant to be at Tottenham Hotspur. But I actually agree with Antonio Conte. We're sitting here praising Matt Doherty and calling for him off the back of 6 good games in 2 years. In 2 years. Come on, guys. It's not good enough in a Tottenham jersey. And I'm glad that Conte sees what I see in Matt Doherty, because it makes me think I'm not deluded or delusional. It actually makes me think I'm smart now. So big up Antonio Conte. But yeah, But look, last question on the right wing back situation maybe is was it stupid at Conte though? Because surely he should be looking at an option for the next couple of games, knowing that Kulusevski is out, so he can't play him there. He doesn't like Doherty. He doesn't like Spence. So, Jack, is it stupid at Conte? Should he actually just look at Spence, give the kid a chance, and hopefully he proves him wrong? Because the difference between playing like Doherty and Spence is Doherty, you know what you're going to get. He's 30, 31 now. He's not going to change. Yeah. Spence has a fucking point to prove, and he wants to make his way in the game, so he can actually come in and hit the ground running and just go on to be excellent. Like you've seen other players do it in his position, like Trent Alexander-Arnold and stuff like that. So is Conte maybe being a bit too naive when it comes to Jed Spence?
I think he is getting it wrong with Jed Spence. I think I agree with you, Dave, with Doherty. I don't think he is getting it wrong. Like if he just, I think Emerson or Doherty, it's like one or the other. You prefer one or the other. You can't simply like one and like the other. I think they're kind of complete opposite sort of players. They both have extreme deficiencies, extreme weaknesses in their game. It's just which one do you prefer? Whereas with Jed Spence, we know there's a lot of time on his side and you can actually round out a lot of those parts of his game that still need improving. I completely agree with you, Dave. And I think maybe against Eintracht Frankfurt away from home, is that the game to do it? I kind of probably might agree with Conte. Probably too big of an occasion to maybe give him that chance. We even saw Sessegnon got a red card, if we recall, against the likes of Enes Mira, if I remember correctly, away from home, which put us in that bad position when he got that red card, or whichever Conference League game it was. Even Sessegnon, who we have a lot of faith in as a young kid, one back from injury. One, Spurs fans were calling for his name to be ahead of Reguilon because people were getting sick of Reguilon. Sessegnon came in and was way too buzzed for it, way too kind of over the top, and got a red card within like 30-ish minutes. So there is that risk, I think, with Jed Spence that we forget. So I would say, Dave, as much as I agree, I'd like to see Emerson sort of kind of punished, or Emerson some sort of lesson shown to him for the performance against the North London Derby. Considering the reality, it maybe makes more sense to go with Emerson for this one if he doesn't rate Doherty at all, and then maybe go with Jed Spence against the likes of Brighton, or go with Jed Spence maybe the game after that. I'm not sure, but I think away from home, European games where we already struggle in anyway, we have bad hoodoo in, I would say you do kind of stick with what you know and don't take too many risks. But Spence needs to be given a chance soon, and I will admit, I think he is getting it wrong with Spence.
Anyone else want to have to say on Spence before we take Rez's super chat here? Go on, Marcelo.
Listen, as far as Emerson Royale, like my opinion. Listen, in my opinion on the guy is he's not a terrible player, but he's just obviously not a right wing back. It's just so obvious. He's just not a right wing back, and some players, as much as they want to work hard and try to adapt to that role, they just simply don't have the tools necessary to be able to play that role. And I think it's just so painfully obvious that he just can't adapt to that role that I kind of agree with Jack here. Just, Spence should be getting a chance. He is a natural right wing back. When you put someone who is at his natural role, they're just going to improve, especially at a young age. And if you don't let them, and you don't give them game time, and you don't, and you just keep them in practice, and all they do is kick balls and practice and do nothing for a season, their development and their ability to improve, it's just going to go down. And I agree with Jack. I think he should be playing Spence. I think he should be punishing Royale, and I think he has a right wing back there that has potential. You know what I mean? Like I know. Like, listen, I get it. I get Conte. He's a serial winner. He wants what he wants, and he gets upset if he doesn't get it. And I totally respect that, and I admire that. But this is at the end of the day a business, right? And you got to do some things that you don't want to do, bro. You know what I mean? And that means sometimes you got to sign one, maybe two players that the club want, that maybe you don't want, that maybe it's for the club's future. And he's got to suck it up, man. And he's got to play this youngster. And this youngster has some promising elements to him, man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see a big difference between Spence and Emerson Royale. I really don't. I don't see that big of a shocking difference. Only one, that Spence is a right wing back. You know what I mean? He'll adapt to that right wing back role very well. So he could be better. So I understand Conte is stubborn, but he does deserve criticism.
Yeah. Look, well within your right to question him, but let's not go over the board with Conte.
Oh no! Whoa!
I know. I'm just
yeah.
reaffirming it. I'm just reaffirming it. No, that's not.
He
I know
deserves
you're
criticism for
not
that.
Conte. I know you're not.
Yeah.
I know you're not.
He does-
Philip, anything you want to say on the Jedi? Can the Jedi come in and have an impact?
Are we ever going to have the Day of the Jedi?
Do you think his sister speaking out will hinder him at Tottenham?
His sister, I don't know. I mean, most players have someone looks after their social media, and it's very heavily, censored, for want of a better word, so they don't say something that shouldn't be said. She's obviously gone off on the wing and done it herself without returning it. She's gone rogue, so I wouldn't pass too much heat on it. As long as Conte doesn't, all Jed has to do is say, listen, my sister, I'll gag her if she won't be saying it anymore, and leave it at that,
I think she's just taking a page out of Charlie Kane's book here, Philip. Clearly, she's seen what Charlie Kane's done before, and maybe she's, enjoying, kind of that
probably
sort
didn't
of
give her
spirit.
any money out of the signing on fee, so she's trying to sell stories to the papers. I reckon.
Well,
But look, there you have it. We'll move on from the right wing back. We've got a couple of super chats to get to. We'll get through these, and then just quickly as well, I think I was going to no point in talking about left wing back. Perisic was on media duty today, so I think that'll give you every indication that he starts at left wing back. But Rez says, Jack, do you think we should play Perisic on the right, especially in the 3-5-2, and Cess on the left? Yes, he was poor when played on the right, but maybe that's what we need tonight. Also, Session is better suited to handle house pressure.
Yeah, Rez, so many things I'll touch on here. With Emerson, 3-5-2, it's where I think he's very limited, because I agree with Rez before where the 3-5-2 isn't exactly perfect for Spurs because we don't really have a Barella kind of in this team yet. We will eventually look for something similar that can fill in this 3-5-2 with a more creative kind of role. But we are going to be asking a lot of Højbjerg, Bentancur, or Basuma, Rez, to fill in that creative role that is needed in the 3-5-2, because when you don't have a Kulusevski in there, you need somebody to link that midfield and the attack. You need somebody to be that sort of, I think Rez likes to put it this way, Dave, kind of that baller sort of in the midfield, and somebody's going to have to step up. Højbjerg, Bentancur, or Basuma, they're not all naturals, I would say, at that, and so eventually we are going to need somebody like a Barella, but perhaps in order to adjust for that lack of a player there, Rez, maybe you do put someone like Perisic and Cess out there. Maybe more creative wingbacks would maybe kind of alleviate that situation, or make that situation or that deficiency, you could say, a bit easier, where if you don't have the perfect creative midfielders, maybe get more creative wingbacks in there. And that way you could sort of fill for that void or fill for that loss there. So I actually agree with Rez. And Emerson, we know, is our least creative wingback. So you probably should go with maybe more creative wingbacks in that scenario. And then with Knauf, Ansgar Knauf, I think, is one of the funnest names to say in all of football for most players. But then on top of that, I actually think he is a right wing back we should take a look at, Dave, because if anything, he's exceptionally good at taking it past his man, and he's more forward thinking than anything. He's probably a bit of a liability, probably defensively, I would say, Knauf. But that kid, as we know, was exceptional last season as a wing back in the Europa League and was causing Barcelona as well as West Ham lots of problems. So maybe Sessegnon is maybe better suited against somebody like him, because Perisic, as good as he is going forward, recently he's not looked so great defensively, is what I would say, Rez. So completely agree with you. Maybe putting Sessegnon up against somebody like Knauf is a better choice.
A right wing back we should be looking at is Fetzi Ebisele, the young Irish lad who moved from Derby County to Udinese. He's over there with Destiny Adoji. Let's take a look at him. If he's good enough to be at Udinese, hopefully he has a good season there and we snap him up. But big up, Rez. Really appreciate the support, brother. Philip, Rez also says, no way Conte likes Royale. He just doesn't have an alternative. Spence is not the answer, and we didn't sign a proper right winger, right wing back. Royal isn't starting once again. Conte has better options. What would you say to Rez here?
Yeah, he's probably right. I mean, he's playing because he has to play him. He's nailed his colours to the mast over Doherty. He doesn't seem to fancy Spence. Now, the only thing worries me about Perisic playing at right wing back, I was watching in the Leicester game. I was sitting down in his corner when he was the first half, and he looked distinctly uncomfortable there. He did not look as if he was happy to be there at all. So I don't know whether it's a good thing to play him at right wing back. Then we've got Lucas Moura. He was tipped as being a wing back. He's out injured. We're running out of alternatives. Everything points back to Jed Spence,
Yeah.
but he just doesn't seem to want to play him. But he's right, though, when he says that Royal isn't starting once he's better options. But where is the better option at the moment? Because we don't seem to have one, according to Conte.
Can look, I get what Conte's saying, but can we really say Spence isn't the answer if we haven't seen him?
No. I don't. I watched. We both watched Spence a lot last season. We both thought he was a great signing, and nothing's happened that's changed my opinion of him. But the guy's got to be given a chance. I mean, all he's had so far is 10 minutes against Nottingham Forest, and I'd say that was only just done to then play against the fans he was playing in front of last season. But no, I mean, you got to take chances in this game and give the guy a chance. You don't become a £20 million player by being rubbish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spot on. And I think we're all forgetting about the rise the kid has had. He was told he wasn't good enough at Middlesbrough. Went to Nottingham Forest, helped get them promoted, got himself into the England set up absolutely out of nowhere. He's had a meteoric rise. He can't be that bad. But Marcelo, go on, you have your hand up, my man.
Listen, you asked Philip whether we know Jed Spence is the answer, right? We can't say that for sure, but one thing I do know, Emerson Royal is not the answer, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah. One thing is just absolutely clear. And when something is not working as a manager, you have to fix it. And if there is a tool that could possibly fix it, you have to at least attempt to use that tool. You know what I mean? And Spence could be that missing puzzle, man. He could be that missing tool that we need to, fix this thing and, really get going because I hear people
be a minor
saying,
tweak like Spence.
Exactly. And I hear people saying, oh, he likes playing Emerson Royal because, he brings a defensive, balance to the game. We're already playing 3 center backs and 2 defensive midfielders. You know what I mean? You need some offense in the game as well. The game is about balance, David. You know what I mean? You need a good set of offense and defense. I think
that's why when Kulu plays, he takes the ball off Emerson and delivers it in. Without Kulu, we don't have that contingency plan. But I do got to say to people, we've got to stop urging and talking about Matt Doherty as being the answer. It's not so long ago. We were only calling for Lavinia to come in and be given a go because the guys weren't performing. So, we've got to stop about the Matt Doherty thing. But I agree with G on Spence. I think we can't really write him off until we've seen him or he's been given a run. But big up, Rez. Absolute 2 brilliant super chats with 2 brilliant points. And hopefully you enjoyed our discussions on it, my man. Michael Hellman says, what is preventing us from becoming a serious club is our inability to clear out the deadwood. Now, I'll take this one because I'm feeling this one. I'm feeling it.
I bet you would.
Look, what's preventing us from becoming a serious club is the recruitment from Steve Hitchen. And I know people are going to say, Dave, stop banging on about it, but it's the truth. The guy done so much damage in terms of squad depth, and we accumulated shit on top of shit on top of shit. And if we're being brutally honest, you wanted about 98% of the squad rotated going into this season. We would have absolutely sacked off a lot of them. But here's where the problem comes. We signed a lot of them on big money and big wages. Now, with the pandemic also happening, a lot of clubs around Europe are cash-strapped. No other club in the Premier League are going to touch these guys because they know what they're like. News travels fast around. Players will hear about it in England camps, other international camps, and revert it back. So no Premier League club is going to touch them with a barge pole, and that's where the money is. So until we can either lower them till we can give them get rid of their contract, or keep loaning them out until someone is suckers enough to buy them, then we can properly move forward on. But the transfer window, we also have to accept. We got in 6, we signed 7, brought in 6 for the here and now. Now, that's going to take time to settle in. But also, we need to do more work. But we all knew that. But we were never going to be able to get everything done in one window. Nottingham Forest signed 20 players, but they're paying for it now. So we done the right thing by not going down that route. Plus, it would have cost us a lot more to get in 15, 20 players if we wanted them, because the players we need at Tottenham Hotspur are of a much more better quality than what Nottingham Forest would be recruiting. But look, the deadwood will be cleared out, but let's not confuse it and blame Paratici for this. You have to understand that the money is tight around Europe. A lot of these players are what you call, toxic players, and clubs are not taking the gambles on them. And people could say, "Oh, well, we should have sold Lo Celso." Look at Villarreal before they agreed the loan deal with Tottenham for Lo Celso. They done a swap deal with Watford for a player because they do not have the money. So it's not just as easy as getting them off the books right now because of the finances in Europe, Michael.
If anything, I think Paratici's been quite ruthless, Dave, with the outgoings. I think he's been as ruthless as he possibly can be. And also all of the players, if you really look at all the players that Paratici has gotten rid of since he's come here, it's been a big list of players he's gotten rid of, which shows and speaks to the amount of damage or how much actually Steve Hitchen set us back. Absolutely spot on, Dave.
No, 100%. Big up, Michael. Really appreciate it, my man. And then we have Dusty Tones. Good to see you in the building. I hope you're keeping well, my man. Says when he gets the selection tactics wrong, he doesn't make the changes. Subs quick enough. Nothing wrong with a first half change if needed. Tell Conte. Well, Philip, I remember Jose Mourinho done it against Olympiacos for Eric Dyer.
Yeah, and Conte did it against Wolves with Sessegnon. So
fair point.
It's been done. The precedent is there to do it. And I have no qualms about making substitutions. I mean, you're better off making a substitution after 20 minutes than waiting until 60 minutes when you're 3-0 down.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Look, I get people are unhappy with the style of play and the style of football. But you have to remember, and this is where the problem lies. We sit here and we like to think our back line is the best in the world. But it's not. And the reason, then there's a reason why Jose Mourinho comes in here and play, and we hired him and plays the way he does. There's a reason why Antonio Conte comes in here and sets up the way he does. And it's because that back line is a weakness. We've seen it even this season. They cannot deal with set pieces. They cannot deal with quick, dynamic players who run at them as well. So I get we're unhappy with the tactics, but they're set up to keep us in a game. If we started going off pressing willy-nilly, look what Marcus Edwards done against Sporting when he had room at that back line. You're going to see that a hell of a lot more often. I get we're not happy with the tactics, but once the forward line clicks into action, you're going to see a much better Tottenham, and it will click. Just give it time. We've 6 new signings in. We asked for Conte to change from Harry Kane being the one to do all the creative play to getting 2 other players to step in and do it. So we're just having a bit of teething problems, but just bear with it. It's going to take time. It will. People get frustrated with Conte's subs, but again, once he gets used to some of the new players that we've signed, later on in the season, you will see them brought off the bench once he has trust in them and once they also show him what they can offer. But big up, Dusty Tones. Really appreciate the support, brother. Philip, is there a case for Sanchez coming in today for Romero? Romero's been quite off form this season, I would say.
No, I think an off-form Romero was better than an on-form Sanchez. So, no, I'd stick with Romero.
What do you think is wrong with Romero this season, Philip? You know, why is he so far off what he was last season?
Well, I think what was wrong with him on Saturday was he was just off he played a match on Wednesday for Argentina and played Saturday morning for Spurs. I mean, the jet lag wouldn't even be out of his system at that stage.
Yeah.
So he's just doing what a lot of players do. They're not just firing on all cylinders, but that will come. I mean, I keep saying that some team is going to face Spurs soon. I'm going to come off the pitch with their head in their hands, going to get an absolute pasting when we do actually click and get it together, you know. Yeah. And tonight will be a good start, but I don't think it'll be tonight. Playing away.
Do you know what? He done it against Sporting, Philip, and that's what gives me a bit of concern. No one's seen Romero not playing, or Sanchez playing, and he's played against Sporting, so it concerns me.
We'll know in an hour's time, anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting lineup, and it'll be an interesting to see people's reaction. And moving on into the midfield, Jacko. Basuma, Skipper, the options to come in and be that extra body in that midfield to form a 3-5-2. Who would you put in there and why? Because a lot of people want to see Skip, but also a lot of people want to see Basuma.
I'd probably put in Basuma. Perhaps Skip comes in to rotate for the likes of Bentancur or Højbjerg. It'd be nice to see them not have to play the whole 90 minutes, continue with the 3-5-2. Give Basuma the chance of playing 90 minutes so that he can get some kind of muscle into those legs. He's had some muscle issues by the looks of things this season. So maybe giving him a whole 90 minutes will get him kind of into more match fitness. And then in the case of Skippy, I don't know. He's also sort of struggled with injury a bit. I would like to see him maybe given 30 minutes, 20 minutes. So if we are in a good position, perhaps he comes in for the likes of a Højbjerg or for the likes of a Bentancur. I think one of them is probably due a rest, maybe at some stage, or at least not maybe forced to play 90 minutes. And Bissouma, if anything, I think what I like about Bissouma, he has that range of ability that maybe Højbjerg and sort of Bentancur don't really have nearly as much as he does. He is able to cover a whole lot more ground than the likes of Højbjerg and Bentancur can, especially in the midfield. And so I feel like, Bissouma in the middle, what I like about it is that it makes it really hard to sort of break the lines of that Tottenham midfield because he can cover so much ground in that middle area, which then allows Højbjerg and Bentancur not have to tuck in so tight next to him. They can kind of expand a bit more and perhaps make some of those surging run forwards. I really like Bissouma. I think he should come into the midfield. If you ask me, I think he'd be a perfect choice for it. Whereas Skippy, I just don't know if he exactly has maybe yet. I know a lot of people have a ton of faith in Skippy, and don't believe me, I do too. But Bissouma, we've seen this guy before. He's dominated midfields. He's dominated games. If you give him the opportunity maybe to be in the middle of a 5-3-2 or a 3-5-2, I think he could get a chance to really shine. So I would put Bissouma in there.
I think you make a great point about the energy that Bissouma brings, the mobility. I think you make a great point there. That was evident against Leicester.
It's his asset that maybe Højbjerg and Bentancur don't have as much, is what I would say.
Yeah, it is. Strength. And Philip, we'll let you have your say before we let you go, because I know you're heading back in to start beating them drums.
Yeah. Bissouma. I play Bissouma tonight. That's if he's fit. I mean, I know he had that car issue on Saturday that he was a little bit leggy after the international break. But yeah, play the 3-5-2 tonight, please, Conte. Do us all a favour. Play 3-5-2, and we'll not lose the match. Yeah, we mightn't win it, but we certainly won't lose it.
Anything you want to say to Spurs fans, and what's your score prediction?
Let's keep the faith, lads. I mean, and if you're in the Conte out brigade, I suggest you just take a long, hard look at yourself, because we're the best manager we've had in years, and some people want to get rid of him. He'll get it right eventually. We know he will. And score predictions tonight, I'm going to be very optimistic. 2-1 to Spurs.
Love it. Well, big up, Philip. Hopefully we get the victory, and I'll give you a text after if it comes in.
I'll talk to you later.
See you, Philip.
On,
Thanks
Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Philip.
See you, Philip. Yeah.
Everybody give the Godfather a lot of love. What an absolute legend. Totty N17 says, I had a panel streaming from London. We're not, my man. We're not privileged enough to be in London, and if we were, we'd be at a lot of these games, to be honest with you, my man. I'm jealous of everyone that gets to go to the games, but big up, my man. Marcelo.
If we were in London, I'd be sharing a pint with you, bro.
Exactly.
It would be a vlog.
It wouldn't be on separate screens either. It would be a lot more casual. We'd be sitting at one table doing it. But
the bricklayers,
Marcelo, Bissouma or Skip tonight to form that treat-man midfield. Who do you think will complement Højbjerg and Bentancur?
You know what? I'm more inclined to say Skip. Just simply because I think Skip has been around the team longer. True. I think Skip, people forget how good he was last season. He's a tremendous player. And he gets stuck in, and especially a game like that. And you know what? I think we've been missing someone like him in the midfield. As much as I love Højbjerg, and I think he is a great player, and he gets a lot of hate for no reason.
Yeah.
I think Skip, he brings a certain intensity to a game where I think in an away match he's desperately miss.
No nonsense than Højbjerg is.
Yeah,
sometimes
he really is, and he's like Højbjerg, but almost like on steroids, and like in terms of like running around the pitch and just putting in tackles and intercepting balls. While Højbjerg, he brings more of a technical aspect to the game. Skip is still a little bit raw, but I think we need a little bit of that rawness, that little bit of just energy and spirit in our midfield. And I think Bissouma, although not hating on him, I think he's an excellent signing. He needs a little bit more time to fill in and find his place within this team. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for him to find a place in this midfield, just simply because it's a different system than he's used to playing.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I think either of them will actually bring mobility. I really do. But what they will bring most is that they'll actually allow Højbjerg and Bentancur to go after the ball higher up the field and actually put pressure on. So if Kane and Son do go, they can go as well. So, look, I would actually rather see Bissouma given a chance, to be honest with you. I think Skip, nothing against the guy, I think he's a good player. He's definitely a future Tottenham captain. He's only back from a long-term injury, but not only that as well. he finds himself in the pecking order without having really to put in any sort of challenge because the likes of Winks, the Celso, Ndombele, etc., etc., etc. So he hasn't really had to do anything to find himself in the pecking order. So it'll be interesting to see what he sort of produces in the training sessions and when he gets his opportunity, how he performs. But right now, I will put Basuma in there and just get him sitting in there and allow Højbjerg and Bentancur to actually go and affect the game offensively and defensively as well. So I would actually go with Basuma tonight, but I take your point on Ollie Skip.
Who doesn't want a Højbjerg on
Yeah.
steroids? I mean, that just sounds great. I would love to have a Højbjerg on steroids, let alone, what a regular Højbjerg. A Højbjerg on steroids sounds great.
Yeah.
I have a question to the panel, and it's
Yeah.
off a comment I see, and it says, play Skip today and we'll lose terribly. I've been seeing a lot on Twitter and a lot on the media. For some reason, Skip all of a sudden went from being like our most rated academy player to for some reason our fans just kind of completely forgetting about him and not rating him like he's supposed. Like he's a very good player.
I do think people rate him. But if we're actually being brutally honest, and he was the beneficiary of us not having midfield options at the time, and that's why he finds himself in there. Now, when he gets a run in the team, will be a true test of how good he actually is and what he can offer. So look, we'll wait and see. I think he's a good player. I like him. I think he's all action. He can pass the ball. He loves to get forward. He loves to make crunching tackles. Like you said, Marcelo, he gives you that bit of passion in there as well. I like Skip. I think he is a good player. But is he better than Basuma? I'm not so sure. I still think the kid has a bit to learn, but he's got some good role models in there. Højbjerg, Basuma, Bentancur. He's got a lot of, I would say he's got 3 complete different midfield players that he could pick something off.
I agree.
Each off their game and become the complete midfielder.
I agree. But one thing is, I kind of wish he starts playing a little bit more because I am really worried about his development being, stagnated. Because, man, if we remember those 9 games where we went unbeaten with Skip, Skip was a real integral part of that. You know what I mean? The guy, and when he got injured, we saw how hurt we were when he got injured, how much we really do need him. And, for bringing Frank, yes, we were, depleted in the midfield options. But even then, I don't think he's that far off from Bentancur or Basuma, in my personal opinion. I think he brings something in his own game that is beneficial for us. I think he has his own game that can bring us something,
his own strengths.
Yeah.
He will. He will. I think he will. It's going to take time. He was unfortunate with the long injury layoff he had as well,
True.
But he will come good. But look, guys, last sort of talking point before we end off. Last season, we looked threatening when we broke at pace, but this season, we often lacked that cutting edge. It's like our attacking spark has actually disappeared. Why is it not clicking going forward, Jack?
It's tough, Dave, because, Spurs fans, we've been so used to relying on that attack, right? We've been so used to basically the forwards bailing us out. And I'll be honest, I think what's made even some of the football appear a bit boring at times is because the forwards just simply haven't been hitting to the same levels as we know they can, or the same levels that they were last year. In fact, I think they've been getting actually probably the same level of service, the forwards, as they kind of did last season. They're just not really being nearly as efficient or nearly as effective or clinical with the service they've been given this season. I mean, it just shows, like, when Sonny is given 3 chances against Leicester, he scores 3 goals. That's how proficient and that's how good these guys are. And I just don't think they've been performing to those sort of levels that they did last season, this season. And I think eventually they will. But the problem is, Dave, is I'm not really sure what the reason is, because normally we would blame it on service. Normally we would blame it on opportunities and whatnot. But if you ask me, I look at a lot of games, Dave, where that forward line had plenty of opportunities to be 4-0 up, 3-0 up in certain games. You look at Fulham, especially Fulham, the fact we only won 2-1 when we should have been up like 5-0 by halftime. That is a perfect example of how the forward line for me, Dave, is not really clicking to the same levels I know they can. But you would then blame it on something else, the system, you blame it on the midfielders or whatnot. I'm not going to do that, because when I look at it, I think the forwards have actually had plenty of service in certain games. So if they're getting the service, what's the problem? It's then with them. They just have to kind of pick themselves up and find a way to maybe perform at a better level, find a way to be able to click a bit better. Because I don't know about you guys, but when you're getting service, you can't really ask for much more. Like if you're able to get the ball and you're not and you're able to have plenty of opportunities to make something happen, can't really complain too much, if you ask me. So I think the forward line, if anything, Dave, normally they bail us out. Normally they're our best players. Normally we rely on them almost too much. This season, I don't think they've actually bailed us out nearly as much as they usually do.
And this is what I was speaking about by needing a better defense, because Kane and Son turn up more often than not than any other player in this squad and produce the goods. But when they don't, how good is our backline? And I did say that'll be a true test of the backline. Has the backline been brilliant? No, it hasn't. It's let us down. And we've also got to remember, if we're being brutally honest, that front line didn't click until about February last season. It really didn't. And so we were just lucky that Son had an absolute incredible season. Lucas Moura had chipped in with the odd goal here or there. We were lucky, but it will click. It will come good. But I agree. I think Conte also
complains for lack of service.
David, if we're bringing up Kane and Son, if we remember last season, they were worse last season in the first half of the season. Yeah. Remember Sonny? I mean, Sonny, people were screaming and like wanting him to, be benched by Bergwijn, especially after the Leicester game. He was pretty poor in the first half of the season, and so was Kane. But then all of a sudden, Kane for different reasons, but all of a sudden, the second half of the season, everybody just exploded, and Sonny went on to win a Golden Boot. So I definitely agree. Give it time. I think they will get that.
I think so too. I think we've just got to, we've just got to give Kane and Son time. They will bail us out, but at the same time, the rest of the squad also have to step up. Yeah. Where's the goals coming from the rest of the squad in the tight games? Why can't we get out with the results we need? So, start looking elsewhere at the squad as well. But I do agree. I think Conte also alluded to it. We're getting the ball, and that's why he's making them do push-ups when they're losing the ball in the rondo, the forward players, because he knows himself, and he said it in the press conference.
He did say it in the press conference. He said about that. Exactly. He said there were a lot of wasted passes and a lot of wasted opportunities. You could tell it was bothering him, and he felt probably a bit hard done by. In fact, you're absolutely right, Dave, because there were good chances for them. You're absolutely right. And Conte 100%. Can't make that pass for them. He can't make that. It's up to them to do it. Absolutely right, Dave.
100%. Well, look, Marcelo, we'll be speaking to you at halftime and full time as well. I'm on the watch round. But before we let you go, brother, give us your score prediction.
I'm going 3-1 Tottenham. I'm going to go Sonny with a brace and Harry Kane.
Nice. Absolutely love it. Jacko, where can people find you? What's your score prediction?
The second, putting Marcelo's Twitter in here, everybody. If you do want to check out his Twitter, great Twitter to check out, especially recently. I've been seeing some good tweets from Marcelo. But for me, Dave, 2-1 seems to be on the cards here. I could see a 3-1 for Spurs. I do see maybe Frankfurt scoring. I think they're kind of like Sporting, maybe a decent attack, maybe a more questionable defense. I hope we do get at that back line. I hope those forwards do click. So I'll maybe go 3-1. 3-1 to the boys. Sounds like a nice, convincing performance anyway. And a fun game. I could see this being a real nail biter, like Wolf said. And I could see this also being either a really dreadful game or actually a quite exciting back and forth game. Because sometimes the way the German teams play, it's very basketballish, and they do play quite kind of exciting football, and they can kind of get the best out of teams. So who's to know, Dave? 3-1. I'll go 3-1.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 3-1 as well. I'm going to go Harry Kane with a brace and Sonny with 1. I think I heard rumors. Ben from here, Tottenham TV, texted me earlier, and he was like, Dave, I heard rumors Harry Kane has hit up the best barbers in Frankfurt. I had to tell him not to panic. I had to say to him, look, that was just to get the hair products because he left them at home. So he just needed to go and get the best hair products. He wouldn't let anyone else touch his hair, bar his barber. So, but Harry Kane will be on absolute fire today. I feel we're going to see a good performance from him and Son today. I really do. I look at the way Conte's been drilling them. I look at so that they're ready to take off. They're ready to click, and I can feel it coming. And I'll be honest, wouldn't surprise me if you ended up being 4-1. I think people big up these oppositions that we play too much, and we're more critical of our teams and praise teams that aren't even as good as I've seen it with Leicester. I've seen it with done with Brighton. I've been seeing it done with West Ham. All last season, I had people telling me, why can't we be like these teams? Brighton, not in Europe, so I definitely don't want to be like them. Leicester, bottom of the Premier League, down near the bottom, so I definitely don't want to be them. And West Ham, everyone telling me to get in Champions League, we're back in Europa League, and I definitely don't want to be there either. So at the end of the day, we've got to have more faith in our team, start bigging up our team a bit more, and realise if Sporting can go there and beat Frankfurt, it's not as tough as everyone makes it out to be. So let's fucking go there, get the 3 points, and let's fucking crack on with this season. Come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust. Just quickly, we'll see you all back here at 7:30 for the watch along. Kick off at 8 p.m. Make sure you come and join us. Get your thoughts in before the game, halftime, full time, and also during the game. But let's all enjoy it together. Come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust.
Come on, you Spurs. We'll be
and good luck. Yeah, see you at halftime, boys. See you at full time. Good luck with the game. Have fun. Great watch along. Make sure to watch these two boys or three or whoever it is. It's a legendary panel. It's going to be a legendary night. Forget Sunday. Forget all that. Or forget Saturday. I even forgot Saturday, bro. I thought it was Sunday. That's how much I put that game behind the back of my head, bro. We're going to watch it with some nice Tuesday night Champions League football. Come on, you Spurs.
Let's go.
Wherever you go.